Hello, dear friends. The current silence is the final moment before the system collapses, according to Mr. Poole. What follows is not chaos, but revelation. Opinion piece. Red face. Last breath. Shift in power. Silent favori. Difficult moment. Large-scale purge. Silence is restraint. Outcome in full swing. Spiritual warfare is at its peak. Countries want to recover their gold. Let's start. A red phase is the silent execution phase of the global financial reset, in which the system change is already happening behind the scenes, even though the public only perceives chaos, destructions, or apparent calm, according to Mr. Poole. It is the moment when the old financial system has been replaced by a new infrastructure, but without public announcement or visible event. It is an operational window in which the transition is already underway silently and in a controlled manner. For weeks, the world has been fed distractions, election noise and confidence in the market, endless talk and zero clarity. But the systems moved behind closed doors. The banks didn't fail. They became desynchronized. The markets didn't volatilize. They were trained. Gold didn't rise. It was repositioned. This is what a transition looks like when it's now meant to be announced. Multiple financial nodes entered a silent reconciliation mode. Liquidity routes were rewritten. Settlement windows were shortened. Traditional clearing systems lost authority. That's why we saw inexplicable withdrawal limits, endless maintenance periods, gold movements without media coverage, and political figures remaining silent all at once. Silence is not stability but containment. The old system operates on depth, delay, and confusion. The new one system operates on asset verification, finality, and truth locked in time. This is where the QFS comes in, not as an application, nor as a promise, but as a backup system that doesn't ask for permission. The QFS isn't launched, it's replaced. Gold is the key, but not paper gold, physical gold, labeled and verified. When you hear gold reset, what it really means is value is being remembered. The public is being shown the chaos. The system is executing order. What comes next is not a crash. It's a delivery. They need panic to justify control. But control is no longer centralized. You are not seeing the end of the world. You are witnessing the end of their world. The reset hasn't arrived. It's already underway. Observe what moves without announcement. The noise is fake. The change is real. The era of debt is ending. The era of verified value has begun. Favori. Favori isn't noisy because it doesn't need to be. The work has already been done. What remains is the alignment. Observe the gaps. Observe the pauses. Observe what no longer needs defending. When they stop arguing about the systems and start executing, the decision has already been made. Favori is a silent phase of cycle closure and power transfer, more than just a normal calendar month. Favori is described as a window of compression and a phase of convergence, where processes already underway are accelerated and finalized. The real changes are seen in signatures, discrete flights, simultaneous updates to financial and technological systems, and not in public statements or headlines. The decision has already been made and is now simply being executed. The movement of gold, data crashes, laws passed without debate, and the silent resignation of executives are interpreted as symptoms of a structural transition, not as isolated events. The old system is based on predictions, accounting, and expectations, while the new system is based on asset verification, identity, and robust accounting. We are not witnessing mere events, but a shift in authority. The door is not opening to a new system, but rather closing from within the old one. Last breath. There is a plan by the dark side called Last Breath, according to Paul Gold Eagle. The Space Force is on the standby, but its world is ending and ours is beginning. A classified plan known as Last Breath is already circulating, which includes information blackouts, false flags, and infrastructure disruption, but it will fail. The Space Force is prepared to intercept electromagnetic pulse traits, with cyber divisions monitoring viral deployment and digital infiltration. All the weapons they have will be neutralized. Justice is coming. Social security systems are being rebuilt, decoupled for surveillance networks, and restructured for sovereign use. You will no longer be treated as a product. Your data will be protected. Behavioral monetization will be forbidden. The plant control network will not happen. Every transaction will be tracked, encrypted, and protected by quantum technology. This is not a speculation. This is what is coming. Their world ends, ours begins. Reset News. The plan is progressing faster than expected, according to Juan Osabin. The countdown has begun. The fiduciary system is crumbling, no matter how much they lie. The temporary interruption of communications is presented as containment, not control, during a transition phase. The Space Force confiscated silver vaults beneath Greenland on Tuesday, vaults guarded for centuries by the bloodlines. This is what caused the silver price to rise. The dark side orchestrated a controlled demolition of the dollar and the disappearance of the global financial system. It was planned as an artificial collapse to control humanity. This will not happen with the coalition in charge. Global systems are beginning to change. Banks, trade networks, and digital networks are moving toward transparency, with the realignment of gold reserves and the rewriting of debt frameworks. The coalition has just sent a final message to the remnants of the cabal in Davos and Brussels. Their super soldiers are offline. Their silver is gone. Their tunnels are flooded. Their time is up. The first tranches of the Saint Germain Global Trust have been released and converted into gold-backed digital certificates. The spiritual war is at its peak. The forces of light are crushing the dark strongholds. Frequency walls are rising, and the cabal's rituals are proving counterproductive. Their timelines are collapsing. The Great Awakening is in full swing. Millions of people are awakening daily from the controlled matrix. The storm has arrived and victory is ours. The best is yet to come. Freedom, prosperity, and justice for all. Fulford Summary. A global power shift has occurred, according to Benjamin Fulford. Last week, something fundamental clicked in geopolitics, and extraordinary news events are unfolding. This is happening while all the top-ranking generals in the Western Hemisphere were summoned to an emergency meeting by General Dan Kane. We also saw Canada declare war on the US corporation. In the EU, angry farmers have effectively wrested power from Ursula von der Leyen. Meanwhile, in China, the country's top general and second in command was arrested for treason. A full-scale purge is underway. Meanwhile, the price of gold has soared as the world tries to escape the financial system. We must be prepared for what will happen. There is chaos in the West. No one seems to know what is going on. A very important announcement is expected, according to a senior official. Major banks are blocking transfers to gold and silver traders, citing risk of fraud. The problem is that these are restrictions, not individual checks. People are trying to convert their own money into tangible assets, but they are being prevented from doing so. The price of gold must reach $100,000 an ounce to back the dollars in circulation. The British intelligence chief states that the geopolitical order is constantly changing and needs to be controlled, and some sanity must be restored. Enough with the typical showmanship tactics, and everyone must keep their heads down quietly, with dignity and with common sense. They are completely out of control, but like the Roman Empire, it ended when it ended, he said in quotes. When the European Parliament approved the EU-Mercosur trade agreement, which farmers opposed, the farmers took the European Parliament hostage and forced it to request the Court of Justice of the European Union to rule on the legality of the agreement, and thus delaying its ratification. In other words, the farmers staged a successful revolution against the EU. Furthermore, Central Europe virtually abandoned the EU and restored the Austro-Hungarian monarchy. The Three Seas initiative brings together Austria, Bulgaria, Croatia, Estonia, Greece, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Romania, Slovenia, and the Czech Republic. Its aim is the reform of the medieval Polish-Lithuanian Union and the creation of a federation between Germany and Russia. Breaking news. RFK Jr. releases evidence that Bill Gates engineered the winter storm. Insects are disappearing, and their disappearance is a sign of environmental damage. The Senate failed in a key procedural vote to fund the government. 45 to 55, the shutdown begins at midnight on Friday, March 30th. Message from JFK Jr. Every day the machine helps construct your false reality to distract you from the fact that the grace touched innocents to obtain their glance. They know their time is up. They are all going down the same path, to the dark dimension. Economy. Markets are going wild over the rising trend in silver and gold, but with rampant volatility. The historic surge in silver is overwhelming the physical infrastructure and creating an unprecedented bottleneck. The historic rise of gold and silver demonstrates that investors are adapting to the new global reality. President Trump claims that the financial system is obsolete and will be replaced by cutting-edge cryptocurrencies under the New World Order bill. Poland now holds more gold than the European Central Bank. The Polish Central Bank has decided to increase its gold reserves from 550 to 700 tons, which would make Poland the 10th country with the largest gold reserves in the world. Bankers drove the price of silver down from $121 to $106, and gold down by $500. But their gambling schemes are no longer working. An hour ago, silver was back up to $118, but as I write this, it's trading at $109. Bankers are desperate. Countries want to reclaim their gold. As the world moves closer to a return to the gold standard, nations are once again asserting their rights. This move is seen as a challenge to the fiat system backed by central banks. The return to gold and the challenges to the financial order suggest a significant shift in the dynamics of global power. The dollar's plunge is even more remarkable when compared to other currencies. The Swedish krona has appreciated by almost 25% against the dollar since January 20th, 2026. The largest gain among major currencies. At the same time, the Mexican peso has appreciated by more than 19% and the Swiss franc by more than 80%. On the other hand, the euro has risen by almost 15%, the British pound by almost 12%, and even the Japanese yen by almost 2%. Gold has surpassed the value of treasury bonds. This shift signals a transformation of the financial system, indicating a move away from traditional fiat currencies and toward a more tangible assets. As countries and investors turn to gold, it signals a loss of confidence in traditional financial systems and a search for stability in times of uncertainty. These developments point to a move toward a more transparent and equitable financial system, while also underscoring the growing desperation of the dark side in the face of exposure and accountability. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.